Good evening, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Great. Hi, Catherine.
This is the day, huh?
This is the day.
You know, the weeks, the month goes by, and every day I'm referring to the Gratitude Girls Day. And when I wake up in the morning of the Gratitude Girls Day, I say to my husband, it's today. It's like, I thought it was yesterday because every day we're talking about it. Lori, I thought it would be a really nice idea to give our audience some background in case we have some new viewers tonight on what are we doing? Who are we? Where are we? So I'll start with an introduction. I'd like to introduce you tonight.
Okay.
And then I'll leave you to introduce me. And then after we're done later, I'll introduce our guests. So tonight I am here with my amazing co-host, Lori Delk-Radecki. Lori is in Columbia, Tennessee. This is an international call. Lori and I met by a leap of faith. It was a day in my life I will never forget. And since 2013, Lori and I have been on this show every single month. We do not miss a show. What I want to say about Lori is she is the rock. She is the person who is keeping everything all together. My Gratitude Girls partner, Lori Delk-Radecki.
Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. And I'm just finishing up our little promotions. But so yes, I am Lori Delk-Radecki, and I am here with my wonderful co-host, Catherine Asaro Myers. And we actually met on stage in front of thousands of people. And so, like they say, like things happen for a reason, or there's no coincidences, right? I don't believe things happen just for no reason. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that there's a reason and there's a purpose for everything. And there was a purpose that Catherine and I met on stage, and we didn't know what the reason was at the time, but we knew that there was a reason. And so in that moment, Catherine and I both met on stage we're both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards. And we didn't know each other and had never met each other before, but we met on stage. And in that moment, we knew that there was another reason behind it. And we both wanted a word that for the year, that word was gratitude. And so we came up with Gratitude Girls. And of course, I had my trusty phone with me, and I checked, and the domain gratitudegirls.com was available. I bought it within seconds. And then we figured out what we're going to do later. And here we are almost 9 years later, and still working together, still doing what we are supposed to do, and meeting every single month with this Gratitude Girls show, as well as meeting every single week with all of our coaching clients.
So Lori, I remember that day. Of course, I remember that day. And my knees were sort of barely holding me up. I was so happily nervous and excited when Cody called my name. And then when I saw that it was you, I remember thinking, Lori Delk you'd been so recognized by our company for giving the most gifts. And I thought, what would it be like to receive a gift from you? And to our audience, what do you think Lori did? As soon as she saw me, she gave me a gift that I can see right now. It's in front of me. It's in my bridge room on the other side of this desktop. She gives gifts. That's who she is. And when Lori had all this recognition, I was really fascinated with the type of person that she was. And when I got to meet Lori, I thought, really? I'm going to meet her right here, right now? And that's when we made our connection. And it was something I had secretly been hoping for. So you get what you focus on. So, sort of watch what you focus on because you will get it. And I'm so fortunate to be able to say that. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. So this is an international call. And I am affectionately known as Rara. Tonight we are going to, shall I go into introducing our guest, Lori? I think that would be a good time. Tonight we're going to give you a great show because we have not only a fantastic guest, but there are some amazing, amazing, I would say, I don't want to say it's a nickname. Just let me introduce Claudine. So you'll know a little bit more about the pink coach is what I was trying to say. I was trying to get that out. Our guest tonight is Claudine Pereira. Claudine offers a solution-based business coaching experience unique to each client with a clear vision, with strategies and action steps. Claudine's corporate career, spanning 2 decades as team leader in collections and disaster recovery for a large financial institution, set up her problem-solving mindset. Claudine's ability to identify and resolve problems was recognized because of her innate people skills that she employed to smooth the process. She is a natural investigator, digging deep to find issues and solutions. Disaster recovery is the mindset she used to help clients navigate the difficult entrepreneur climate throughout 2020. She stretched her coaching muscles to guide over 90% of her clients to shift and find success in a new way of doing business. Claudine diligently researches industry needs to offer individual coaching based on the client. Her background also provides a curiosity to follow economic trends she can impart to assist clients in decision-making. Claudine understands the value of self-care and continued learning to show up the best for her clients. She is mentored by a coach and is an active participant in a local mastermind and Robin Sharma mastery programs. Claudine devotes her time to personal goals around health and around fitness, and finds many analogies from her competitive dance career to coach entrepreneurs through their milestones. Claudine empowers clients to believe in their abilities, focusing on strengths and finding supports to elevate them in areas of weaknesses. Her corporate background is softened with an approach that breathes belief into entrepreneurs when they just can't find it. She also works with a generous heart, giving back to her community. Claudine still teaches at George Brown College here in Ontario, Toronto, Canada, where she receives her life coaching certificate. Claudine is actively involved in initiatives for the homeless and marginalized members of her Toronto community. Otherwise branded as the Pink Coach, let's welcome Claudine. Welcome to the Gratitude Girls Show.
Thank you, Rara. Thank you, Laurie, for having me. Well, that was quite the mouthful. Sometimes when you hear your bio being read, you're like, is that really me? Did I really do all those things? So that's humbly swallowing. Thank you very much.
Claudine, there were things that I didn't get to say, as I wanted to also give a shout out that we met at Cowie. So I'd like to honor the platform and the organization that we both belong to. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So COWI is the acronym of the group that Rara and I met at, which is the Canadian Association of Women Entrepreneurs and Executives. It's a group, a network, women's networking relationship building group that's been around for over 40 years. And I'm so privileged to sit on the board of directors as the director of PR and marketing. So I never forget the first time when I met Rara at COWI. She was just a bright light, a spark. She just stood out. You know, we've been doing all of our meetings since COVID hit online. And of course, for those of you that know Rara and have seen her in action, you know, you can't miss her. So right away, I was just drawn to her energy immediately because I love to surround myself with positive business owners, business women. And we met, and that was just sort of beginning of our, you know, mutually respectful friendship. So yeah, lovely to be here, and thank you so much. It's just an honor.
Well, thank you, Claudine. And you said something to me earlier today, and I wanted to bring that to our audience. We made these arrangements in April, right?
Yes, yes, in the spring.
In the
Yeah,
spring, because
yeah,
we book about a year in advance.
that's right. That's what
How
you
we
told me.
and
Yes.
the funny thing is, Lori and I talk about this on every show.
Yeah,
And as you would know, because you are in the same business, when someone gives us their word, we go with
yeah,
it.
yes.
So we say, awesome, see you
See you then.
October 26th. You
Yeah,
know, that's it. We know you're going to be there. And it's kind of interesting that some people would not have done what you did, meaning they would have thought,
it
and I'm
wasn't
sure,
on or
right, I'm
yeah,
sure it crossed your mind, like we talked
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Our show is on every month and we know you're there. And we're so happy that with all of your integrity, that you are here with us after booking so far in advance. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, an average day, because some of our audience is
Yeah,
not from Canada. You and I are both in Ontario.
that's right. That's
Let's
right.
talk a little bit about an average day in your life, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely. So I'm a big proponent of, my own time first thing in the morning. So as an entrepreneur, and a coach, much like both of you, I travel from my home in downtown Toronto near the lake to my office, which is sort of in the suburbs, so not too far from, maybe half an hour away from downtown. But my sacred time is from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning, where, that was pre-COVID as well. So it was a morning ritual and routine that I sort of learned through, going to Robin Sharma events, and I never stopped it. So even on the days where I can't get up at 5, it's 6 o'clock, 6:30. But those first couple of hours in the morning is my quiet time for myself and the cat, who's looking for attention. He's roaming around the floor as we speak. I'm expecting him to jump up any second.
Okay, that's all right.
But it's my quiet time, and I sit down and I think about how I want the day to play out. What am I looking for in the day? I journal. I just think, I meditate, have quiet time, have my cup of tea, and I get the day started. Usually at around 8:30 or so, I hit the road, drive to the office. I call that my university learning time. So, I'll play a podcast, listen to a book, play some inspirational music, depending on my mood, to get myself sort of jazzed up for the day. Because there's always traffic, for anybody that lives in a big city, that traffic gridlock now it's real. So I really don't lose patience with traffic. It's not a good use. It's not a highest and best use of my energy to get annoyed sitting in traffic. I use that time to work on myself, and that's my education time. That hour that I spend in the car. So get to the office, check myself in, go open the door, say a few hellos to whoever's around. And I could have a mix of clients that are actually coming in person to the office safely, or Zoom. So it's kind of like a mix of both. My husband, he works from home now, and he's been working from home for the last little while, and we share space. We're in a sort of like an open concept townhouse where we don't have privacy. So we kill each other trying to get airspace. So I love being able to go to my office. It's a place where, I can really get into the weeds of my client sessions. I have a lovely glass whiteboard that I installed in the office. And, we brainstorm out ideas. I have my lunch, my tea, and then I hit the road to come home in the evening, have dinner, and it's wind down time. Usually I'm in bed by 10 o'clock. So if you see me nodding off at like 2 minutes to 10, it's my bedtime.
We're approaching it, Claudine.
Yes. So, I had to really, keep my energy high today. I actually left the office late on purpose to make sure I was awake, alive, came home, had a healthy dinner, had some Brussels sprouts, a little bit of steak to stay sharp. And then I just wind down. I do my journal again at the end of the day. I'm not a big TV watcher. I find, especially now, a lot of the news, I try to stay away from it. It can be really damaging to the soul, especially with so many things that are going on in a moment in the world. So I just choose not to watch it. I might watch Coronation Street. So any Coronation Street fans out there, hiya.
I am. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
too.
So I might watch a bit of Corrie, and then I call it a night and I hit the sack. So, that's a typical day in the office. I do have days where I do work from home. I do a lot of walking. We live right by the lake, so I'm always outside no matter what the weather, and doing some kind of nature walk, because someone actually told me that it's very good for anxiety or any stress. Even if you're looking, when you're walking, looking up at the clouds, looking at the trees, really taking notice of your surroundings. I'll even do that at the office too. If I have time, maybe 20 minutes to spare between clients, I go outside into the parking lot. It sounds so silly. My office is in a plaza, and I'll do laps. People think I'm crazy, but I don't care. It refreshes my mind, keeps me sharp, and keeps me fit all at the same time. So
That's what you do, right? It's
yeah,
how you manage your day. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. The reason why I asked the question about tell us about your days, so that our
yeah,
audience could get to know you as a person, right? They could relate to the fact that you drive in the car for an hour,
yeah,
that you have a whiteboard in your office, that you go outside and you take a walk so that you can stay
yeah.
fit. I think it's important to you sort of paint the picture of
Yes.
who you are. And
Thank
we'll,
you.
we'll talk. Oh, you're welcome. We'll talk a little bit. We'll touch on a bunch of subjects tonight. I would like to ask you, have you thought about this lately based on
Mm,
just life in general?
yeah.
Are you where you want to be right now?
Yeah. You know what? That's an interesting question you just asked me, because I had my session. I have a coach as well. I mean, I've had a coach since the very beginning of being in business, who you and I both know well, Miss Judy Hughes from Cowie. She's amazing. I've been with them for 6 years, and they're unbelievable. And she asked me the same question. We're planning for 2022. She said, what do you want next year to look like? Any new things you want to work on? And I said, you know what? I'm kind of at a stage in my business now where I'm really content. It's been a great couple of years considering everything. Thank goodness, I'm very blessed. But I'm really content where I am. Business is where I want it to be, and I think sometimes we always look to reinvent or make this new thing. Oh, I've got to make this new thing, or I've got to write this new book, or I've got to create a new program, instead of just maybe kind of just staying up there and using that foundation, using where you've ended off the year and building on that for 2022. So that's kind of where I'm at in sort of thinking forward. I'm very content with where the business is. I have sort of two sides of the business, my entrepreneurial side, and then the leadership and development coaching piece that I do for companies and leaders. And which is more important now than ever, that people are leading teams, remotely. So yeah, I'm in a good place, and this is a really deep time of year for me in terms of thinking, and not just for 2022 but also for 2023, and how I want that to play out. What do I want my life to look like, my business to look like? One of the things I coach my clients on, that it's you first. If I don't take care of myself, my business will not be successful. So I have to I'm priority over anybody else. Hubby, my daughter, she's 23 now, my cat. She's meowing, but I have to come first.
Nobody
Yeah.
comes before the cat, right?
Oh yeah, kind of.
Well,
So
thank you.
yeah, so I'm at a good place and feeling quite good about the future. I think a lot of it too is how you train your brain to think about these things, right? It's what you tell yourself. You said earlier, you've got to believe in what you want to become, because if you don't, no one else is going to believe it. You've got to believe in it first.
Well, thank you for answering that question. I read in your bio something about dancing.
Hmm.
Do you
Yes.
want to tell us a little bit about, because we have something in common when it comes to that, but let's hear from your perspective,
Sure.
of course. What does that mean? How did you dance? What did you do?
So I grew up in the UK, and my mother told me I was about sort of 12 years old, and I was really shy. I remember growing up shy as a kid, believe it or not. People don't believe the story, but I'm quite shy by nature. I'm quite quiet when I'm on my alone time. But back then I was really, really shy. I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't go into a shop and say, hey, can I buy this? So she took me into town, into Reading. I grew up in a town called Reading near London. And she took me into town to a dance studio called Mo's Place. And Mo's Place is still in operation to this day. She took me in and she talked to the owner, Monica Cleaver. She says, look, she doesn't speak, she doesn't talk. Like, I don't know what to do with her. Can you do what you're best? So she threw me into a practice dance class, and I came downstairs after. And Monica said to my mother, look, Miss Pereira, like, her posture's dreadful, but we'll see what we can do with her. And I'm like, posture, what's that? Like, I had no idea that, I was sort of so into myself around my shoulders. And so my dancing career sort of took off at the age of 13. So I started with a traditional ballet, tap, modern jazz, all the functional dancing. And then I moved at the age of 17 into, more ballroom and Latin dancing, and picked that up when I came to Canada. Fast forward to today, I've been still in contact with Monica Cleaver, who's my first dance teacher. She's 75 now, and I still take classes with her online. It's amazing. I do ballet and tap once a week. She's 5 hours ahead in the UK, and a few of us here dance in the living room. She still teaches us. So it's a wonderful sport. I attribute it to discipline I have in my business. So people say to me, how do you stay so focused and disciplined? And I said, because that's how I grew up. We didn't have a choice. You just get on with it. And so that some of that discipline and focus has really come from being a dancer.
Yes, it's a great way to learn how to keep your eye on the ball, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. So you have this in your background. We talked about, I just wanted to go to this particular part in your bio, disaster recovery is the mindset. So where does disaster, so you were a team leader in collections and disaster recovery for a large financial institution. Can you just tell us a little bit about what disaster recovery is?
So I worked for one of the large green banks. It was an amazing career. And then one of my last probably 10 years, I was a manager for the sales team. I had 3 teams across Canada. And every department in the bank always have what they call a DRP team, so a disaster recovery planning team. And you plan for things like, power outages, or if you can't come into the call center, where do you send people? How does that work? Planning for call trees, if there's a snowstorm and the office is going to be closed. So I always used to end up, because I was quite organized, I'd always throw me on these disaster recovery teams. I was part of SARS, remember SARS, bird flu. So the bird flu and SARS were big pieces of disaster recovery. We had big plans for it. So fast forward to today, I would say being a part of those disaster recovery teams really set me up in business for success, especially when COVID hit, because I was able to sort of mitigate the challenges of COVID and business, everybody having to switch gears. That was really all that we did in that first year, was disaster recovery. Going, how are we going to pick up the pieces, and what are we going to do for plan, not just B, but C, D, and E. And so I was able to sort of stick that hat on right away and go, all right, for each individual business, what are we going to do? So it's helped enormously. It's helped enormously in, mitigating the challenges since COVID hit.
That sounds like you were well groomed for what you didn't know what was going to lie ahead.
That's the universe. Yep.
Lori, I know that you have some questions for Claudine, so I will ask if you would like to have the floor.
Sure, yes. So, yes, one question I have, of course, this is the Gratitude Girl show. So we all have, lots of different gratitude stories in our life, but I was wondering if you could share publicly with us just one story that you could think of somewhere, something that you're grateful and thankful for in your life that you wanted to share with all of us.
I have to say, not just because he's in the room, but I have to say that is my husband. Because when I first started my business, you both probably could resonate with this. You get a lot of the naysayers, why don't you just, go get a real job? You're leaving corporate. What are you doing? Go get a proper job. But this man has been behind me every step of the way for the last 8 years. And I tell you what, I always say that, they always say behind every great man is a great woman. This is the other way around. And, he helped to encourage me on days, the first couple of years when it was hard, to keep me going. He believed in everything I wanted to offer for my clients. He would have his good input and help me even to this day. I was asking him for some help last night on, some corporate training I have coming up, and his sage advice on that. So, I would say I'm so grateful for him every single day. I journal about him every day in my journal. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been able to run this business without his support. If he didn't believe in me and believe in what I was doing, it would not work. It would not work. So I just wouldn't. He just came out for his walk. He's got his woolly hat on. but I really would not, and that's the first thing. There's many things I'm grateful for in my life, on a daily basis, but I have to say that is continual, and having that support. And a lot of women in business don't have the support of their loved ones. And I'm so grateful for him and everything that he does and supports me on every single day, making me food when I'm coming home late. I walk in the door, there's a dinner in the oven. Little things like that.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. That's so sweet.
Sorry, would you like to introduce your husband?
I don't know. He's in the kitchen washing.
Okay,
Would you like to be
okay.
introduced, honey?
If you would like,
want to be introduced, yeah,
if you would like to
amazing.
introduce him, by all means.
Thank you. No, he's amazing, and he's not an entrepreneur. But he has so much. I always say you should have been an entrepreneur. I'd love him to be more involved in the business with me because he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. He's done coaching and training for my clients. I brought him in to do one-on-ones with people. He's an accountant by trade. He's got a brilliant mind. We think completely differently, and my clients absolutely love him. So we'll pawn him out for hiring.
I guess he's the numbers man.
He's the numbers guy, but and I started my business going, I don't really care what I make. I want to do it for the love, and we'll see what happens. He said, oh, you can't do that. It's completely wrong. And then, fast forward to now, who say she did do it to the traditional book, but she made it work. And it's a successful, viable business.
How sweet. How sweet to have that as your gratitude story to share with us. Claudine, would you like to share? Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. Did you have another question?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I was just going to comment too about the dancing. My mom put me in dance when I was younger too, so I can totally relate to that story.
Get out.
Yeah, the same thing. People wouldn't know that about me now, but I was the little shy one too, and I was put in jazz, tap, and ballet, and then
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that I don't still do it now though. I should, but
it would be like riding a bike. You never forget. Yeah, you never forget. That's amazing. Well, that's why you're so disciplined and successful in business. I'm sure if we did a survey of 100 women in business that all have a dance background, that there's probably a secret to that success somewhere.
I agree. I took ballet when I was younger, and then I was the old disco queen, maybe the young disco queen when I was like 18.
I could see that.
Oh my gosh, that was a big deal for me. So yes, we all have that in common.
Yeah.
Claudine, you talk about being an entrepreneur, and there's people in our audience watching live, or they're going to be watching the replay, and maybe they are already into being an entrepreneur. Maybe they're in their business 1 to 5 years or 5 to 10. But knowing that people start somewhere, in case this show lands in front of someone as they're getting started, would you like to share a message to a new upcoming entrepreneur, and something that they could maybe think about as they begin their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of things. First of all, I would just say have a plan. You need to have some kind of, and I don't mean the formalized get a business plan. Like those are to take to the bank if you want financing. I mean, have a real plan of action in terms of what do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to serve? What is your focus going to be? What does the first couple of years look like? And write it down, put it somewhere, put it in a book. I have books everywhere. I go to the dollar store and I buy books, and that's where I write down my ideas. It doesn't need to be fancy, but get your ideas down on paper and have a focus and a strategy of where you want to go and where you want your business to go. It's super, super important. The second thing I would say is be careful who you surround yourself with, because at the beginning, especially, your mindset is going to be all over the place, and you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to hear lots of messages that you might go, oh, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. So surround yourself with the right group of people, the right community through networking, and make sure that you have the right people in your corner. Perhaps a mentor, perhaps a coach if you can afford one, definitely. And the third thing I would say is to work on, avoiding the fear of it all. And, Arlene Dickinson said it the best in her book called All In. It's a great read. She says, you have to have grit and determination, perseverance to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, maybe just being an employee is the right thing for you. You have to have an inside made of Teflon, like the inside of the frying pan, to be an entrepreneur. And she was so right. And I remember in my first early days, I was so scared. And if you're listening to this and you're just starting out, The fear is normal, the fear is real, but talk it over with somebody, have a good plan, and you've got to battle through that fear and that mindset and telling yourself you can't do it, imposter syndrome, all these things that women get in business. You've got to sort of battle your way through it. But I tell you, it will be worth it. It will be worth it. It's very freeing. You can set it up and do it your own way.
That's such great advice. I'm certain that will fall on the ears that it needs to fall on
Hope
tonight
so.
or
Yeah.
tomorrow or next
Yeah.
month. Claudine, we do something fun that we consider fun in our show. We like to sort of hand the mic over to you and
Okay.
give you the floor. If you would like to ask Lori or I a question, unrehearsed, so our audience knows
Okay.
that, please identify to whom you're asking the question, and then we will be happy to answer you.
Okay, so the first question is to Laurie. So you guys said that you met in 2013. That's a long time to have a relationship, a business relationship. And what would you say is the secret to your success in this kind of marriage of minds in business? What is the secret sauce?
It's funny that you asked that, but it's also funny that, in most marriages, there's always like a give and take, right? And there's compromise, right? I don't compromise on what the AC is set at. My husband lets me handle that, but I compromise and let him run the remote, right?
Right.
So most people, there's a compromise and a give and take or whatever. And, this is also where it has especially over the years, has solidified my thoughts of that there was no way that this was a coincidence that we were put together, because Catherine and I just mesh like so well.
Yes.
Like, I know I'm far from perfect, but she would never tell you that, because she like rolls with the punches with me no matter what. If I make a mistake or if I do something silly or whatever, she never calls me out on it. She just kind of
goes with the flow,
wraps it around and makes it a little cute present for me.
Amazing. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love it, because that's a long relationship, and that does turn into pretty much like a marriage, especially if you're doing things in business. You have to make decisions together. So I was curious about that. And Rara, I want to ask you, a lot of my client base are in network marketing, and a very famous past president who will remain nameless always said, if his business went belly up, he would just jump on a great network marketing company and just go for it. So, I love a lot of the business models, and I love coaching to it. So what can you, maybe if someone is listening that is not sure about, what kind of business to get into, and, dispelling some of the myths of network marketers, what would you have to say to somebody that could potentially be listening, that is maybe just thinking about leaving their career or their, daytime job to do something else? What would that look like?
Thank you for asking the question. So I sort of hear two parts. One is, what would I explain or say to someone in terms of choosing a network marketing company?
Correct.
And what would I say if they were thinking of leaving their job? So first, I would say, like any decision, you would leave your job because it would be a plan, and hopefully not a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
So if you're paying the mortgage, the rent, the car, university, and food for your family, and you have decided that you want to indulge in a knee-jerk reaction, it might have repercussions regardless of what you look at. So that would be my first comment. My second comment about network marketing, like any career, you would want to be in alignment with perhaps the mission statement of that company.
Right.
Maybe their service and product, and perhaps the story. And if that lines up with you, as this does with Lori and I, then there is no question. There is no defending. There is no, what is that business model about? Because you are doing what you're doing because it's in alignment. So if it's a network marketing company or a company in general, I would say, close your eyes and tell me if your stomach has butterflies or pains. And if you have a pain in your stomach, it's probably not the right thing. And if you have butterflies, like it's the first kiss, then maybe it is the right thing. And if your co-native ability requires you to have a high fact finding, if your index is high fact finding, then get the information that you need. Find out how you would make the decision. So I would look into the introspective of what is the process for that person, as opposed to what is that company. Because, some people can spin gold out of yarn, and some people can just do that, right? They may be that person, but it could be because everything else in their life is aligned and they're happy. So I would look at the person as a whole and see what that looks like, and then have a conversation with a coach before you make that decision.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. Because I know there's so much negative press. I love how you place that so eloquently. There's a lot of negative press around it, and it's a shame because there's so many great companies out there and people that could be missing out on something wonderful just because of what they're hearing. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And the business model, right? So the conversation of coaching and network marketing and being an employee, these are business models.
Yes.
It's how we are exposed to different things. So let's have a bit of a coach's corner. Let's see if we could give our audience tonight maybe a 1-minute scenario on this. Hypothetically speaking,
Yeah.
a client will come in and have, let's say, a situation that they want to fix. What is it that you would need to know before you fix that? And then Lori, let's you and I do the same thing. So here's the reason why. We'll give our audience an idea of some of the questions that they might be answering when they come into close contact with the coach. So let's say we'll just highlight 2 or 3 things. So the client has sort of a situation, something that they need to fix. What are you going to ask them, Claudine, then Lori, and then I'll give those 3 things, and hopefully our audience is going to jot this down. And then they'll get not only 1 or 2, but they'll get 3 coaches tonight.
3 heads are better than 1. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. First things first, I gather the information. So I gather as much, ask a lot of questions, map it out on the board. What are the current issues? What are they
So let's go with 2 questions that we're going to ask the client so that they can jot down 6 things tonight. 2 questions you're going to ask.
Right. So tell me about what your current issues are. Give me some detail. Download the details of what your issue is, and fast forward 1 year from now. So if we were meeting right now, 1 year from now, what would you want the outcome to be?
Okay, awesome. So let's repeat that in case anybody's taking notes.
Yes.
You want to repeat those 2?
So tell me a little bit about what your issues are. What are your current concerns? What are you grappling with? And think about being here 1 year from today. What would you want the outcome to be of the situation?
Awesome. Okay, so to our audience, those are 2 questions you might encounter with the pink coach. Okay. So Gratitude Girls Coaching, Lori, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, I would say also, so in your plans to fix this 1 year from now, how would your life be better? And how would you be better? And what are the steps that you're willing to take? So some people they want everything to be fixed, but they're not willing to work. They're not willing to take the steps. They just want that, twitch your nose and bing, everything's better.
Okay, good. So these are some of the questions you're going to be looking at answering. Okay, I'll give 2. One thing I would say is, have you looked at fixing this before? So whatever this situation is, have you attempted? Have you tried? Have you actually solved it? I might choose my words a little bit differently depending upon who I'm speaking to. And I'd want to know, have they ever come across this and have they tried to fix it? The next thing would be I'd ask them, what is their threshold for failure? I want to know what their relationship is with that. I want to know if they've embraced failure and it's part of their business plan, or they won't tolerate it at all. So these are 6 questions to our audience tonight that you might have to answer when you decide to work with a coach. And these are all questions that we're looking to hear what it is that you have to say. So let me ask you one more question before we wrap up. Claudine, now the client comes to us and the client is engaged. What do you think is the most important aspect of this relationship? Now the client has signed on. They made a commitment. They answered all of our questions. We agreed to take them on.
Yeah, so I think for me is really it's doing the work, right? That, you know, quite often over the years, I've even had clients that will pay me and then they'll come into their next session and go, oh, you know, coach, I haven't done my homework. I haven't done, you know, I want someone to have some skin in the game, right? I'm not just in the habit of taking someone's money and then you go away and you don't come back with some, you know, some goodies. You might not have gotten to everything on your homework list, but that I want you to have a fire lit in your belly, skin in the game, so that we have progress, so that we go, okay, after the first 3 months, we can actually see that you've achieved X and Y. Now we're going to move into the next 90 days, and that's going to be your focus. So really having skin in the game, that fire lit in your belly, those are my ideal clients, quite frankly. Like I said, over the years, I have had, for, you know, many reasons, people don't do the work or they've got a husband bringing in the money. So there's been no real drive to get to those results. So hence that lack of engagement. So that's the biggest piece for me.
Okay, awesome.
Screen for that. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So
Great
Lori,
question.
yeah, thank you. So Lori, what is it for you? The other half of the Gratitude Girls.
Yeah, so I would say a lot of what Claudine just said, but yeah, just, you know, if they're not ready to work and actually put in the effort, right? So that's Catherine, you and I were talking about that actually not long ago, right? And that's one of the things that I actually talk with all my clients on our very first call, is I flat out tell them, you know, you could pay $10, you could pay $100, you could pay $1,000, you could pay $10,000, you could even pay $100,000 for some coaching. There's people that pay that, and it depends on what level they're at, right, and what you're wanting. But the thing is, doesn't matter what you pay if you're not willing to go to work. And so I ask people in the very first call, are you willing to go to work? Are you willing to do what it takes? Because I'm not willing to have you pay me and then tell somebody else that my coaching didn't work. So right now, go ahead and tell me, are you willing to put in the work, or should I go ahead and refund your money right this minute?
Great point. I'll give a perspective just to be different, so that way the person listening, the people listening tonight, can know that there is something, it's scary, right? I would like to say that prior to making the decision to working with one another, I would like to work with one another. I would like to have the opportunity to be paid and work together and then decide. Not I do a favor, not you overpay me and you pay me, and we'll see how that step goes. I call that a direction phase. And I also have an empowerment phase. And the reason why, and in Gratitude Girls, we have something called Try Us On for Size. We have built this into our business model. So you work with us, and then we take it from there. Both of us, not one of us. Not you decide if you can work with the coach because it's too hard. The coach gets to decide if they can continue working with the client. The reason why I want to give that perspective to the audience tonight is, you know, your coach can fire you. So try to put yourself in the position where you don't get fired so that you are in alignment with the people. Like Claudine, you said it earlier, surround yourself with the right people. When you find the right coach, surround yourself with them. You know when they're the right people. I love this little coach's corner tonight. I think this was so much fun. Claudine, what'd you think about it?
Awesome. No, I love it. That was great. Good sage advice for free. So you're welcome.
Lori, what did you think about it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think people that are thinking about coaching, you know, like Claudine, I'm sorry, said earlier, you know, she pays a coach. I pay a coach. I know, Catherine, you pay a coach too.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's it. Anybody that really wants to get anywhere pays a coach for something where they want to get to that next level, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? You still pay for dancing, right? After all these years, like
After all these years.
Anybody doesn't need to pay for dancing lessons, right? But you still do, because you still want to move forward and you still want to be good. And yeah, you could probably do it all on your own anyway, right? And you could probably teach all the classes.
Yeah, it's not the same. No.
It's such a great exercise to do this
Yeah.
together. Claudine,
Great.
before Lori
Thank
and I, you're welcome. Before Lori and I just talk a little bit more to our audience, is there anything that you would like to say, a final word, or I don't want to say final as if you can't say anything else, but a word to wrap up your gratitude or a gratitude message to someone tonight?
Yeah, I would just, just a general blanket message. I would just say that, a lot of women, especially in business, play really small. And, if you start your day with a grateful heart and end with a grateful heart, magic can happen. But dream big. I've accomplished things in my business that I'm just an ordinary girl from Reading in England, which is Coronation Street. And, I've achieved a lot and helped a lot of businesses be really successful. So I would just say going into 2022, dream big, have your best laid plans, and believe that you can do anything. What you believe you will become. So that's my final word. And I thank you both for having me. It's been awesome.
You're welcome. That's such great advice. Hang out with us, please. So, Lori,
Yeah.
let's talk to our audience a little bit. Now, somebody's watching and they're thinking, I want to get with Claudine. So all of Claudine's information is going to be in the show notes. You will have all the links. Is there any particular way that you would like people to reach you, Claudine? Is there anything special other than your email, your website?
Yeah, you can follow me. Please follow me on social. I'm pretty active on Instagram and LinkedIn. If you want to chat more about your business, you can reach out for a complimentary deep dive discovery session through my website, and I'll give you some pointers to get you going, on me. So yeah,
Awesome.
Just connect, follow along, follow the journey.
Thank you. We're going to put all of that there. So if you're watching tonight, you're welcome, and you want to get with Claudine Pereira, the pink coach, you'll know how to do that. And Lori, what if somebody says, I want to be in the seat that Claudine is in? How do they get on the show? And I know it's even going to be hard to believe what we're going to say next, but I'm going to have you give the news. I'm going to double check the statistics.
The schedule.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So if you would like to be featured on our show, go to facebook.com/gratitude girls. Make sure to like the page, make sure to add it to your interest, follow the page, and then click message and send us your story there. Send us a story, something that touches your heart, that you are grateful, thankful for, some sort of gratitude story in your life and or in your business. And share that with us. Make sure to leave your contact information, and we will get back with you to let you know when your story can be featured on our show. Because right now we are booking for
November of 2022.
Excellent. Well done. Well done.
So there might be some modifications due to some schedule changes, but we're looking at November, December. So if you have a gratitude story, please share it with us. And if you don't feel ready, it's okay. It's going to be a year before you get on the show. We'll coach you all the way to the time that you get on the show.
Lots of time.
If you've never done this before, we will manage that for you. Lori, that's amazing. So if somebody wants to get on the show, they'll get with us. And is there a message, Lori, that you would like to give to our audience tonight, since we've had the Coach's Corner for the very first time?
Yes, absolutely. Well, just remember one, yes, if you want to hire a coach, all the famous people, all the very, the best basketball coach, basketball player, he has a coach. Not only the coach on his team, but he has another coach that coaches him personally, right? So you can have different coaches in different areas of your life too for different things. You might have a financial coach, you might have a business coach, you might have, a spiritual coach, might be, your pastor at a church. So there's different areas that you have coaches in your life, right? You could even say, like, my mechanic is my car coach, right? Because I don't know how to fix my car. So I go to somebody that knows more about it than me, or that has been there, done that. So check into also the coach that you're looking to hire, also to make sure that they have been there, done that, because not everybody has the credibility, even though they say that they're a coach too. So check into their background also and ask questions. You interview a coach, just like Claudine had said, she has a free session to talk to her. Well, she's interviewing you, but you can also interview her to see if you're both a good fit.
You're right.
And the same thing that you can, like she also said earlier, you can fire your clients. I fired 2 a couple years ago, and it was the greatest thing in the world. So, everything can go both ways. And the last thing is, if you haven't started writing in your gratitude journal, make sure you do that. This is the Gratitude Girls show. Write in your journal every single day 5 things that happened to you that day, specific and in detail, that you can be thankful and grateful for.
Love it.
That's such great advice. Oh, look at that. The 5-minute
Awesome.
journal. So important. One thing I'd like to add to that, think about yourself first. Claudine talked about it earlier. Claudine gets up from 5 to 7 o'clock, 5 to 7 in the morning, and that's her time. This week, I embarked on a meditation at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's really important because I was invited to do this. I want to make sure I pronounce the names properly. I was invited to do this. And I thought, well, this is pretty interesting. Should I get up at 7 and meditate? Well, I'm up anyway, as you could imagine. I'm not sleeping at that hour at 7 o'clock. But Christy Stengeland invited us to meditate every morning at 7. No, I maybe shouldn't tell you should just come and do that. No lights, no camera, no action. And Christy said, everybody who's here for 5 days, I will enter you into a draw for this beautiful lapis lazuli necklace. All you have to do is show up. So there's no fee for this meditation. It's organized guided meditation. You can have curlers in your hair, ladies. You can have a mask on your face. First day I got all dolled up because I thought I was going to be on a camera, and I thought, oh, nobody's on camera. So think about, when you're thinking about coaching, the process of beginning. And if it means to start with meditation, speak to the people that will get you started. And if your coach can guide you to that, or maybe there's a strategic alliance in your coach's life, then begin your day in a way that you know will set a good foundation. And this meditation for me this week has made all the difference. Not that I've never meditated before, but Christy put it right on the map. And that's what a good coach does for you.
Excellent.
They give it attention. And I'm really grateful to you, Claudine, for sharing your knowledge, giving away free coaching tonight. And Lori, I'm grateful to you for going with our Coach's Corner, all unrehearsed.
That was
Our
fun.
show is completely unrehearsed. And to our audience for being here tonight. So if you're on the edge of making a decision, we're right here, all of us. And watch the show again. I'm sure there'll be enough golden nuggets for you to take an action step to get you closer to your goal. This was such an amazing show. Claudine,
Thank you again for having me.
Done such a great interview with us. Thank you so much. Hang out with us once we wrap up. So Lori, thank you so much for being here. Maybe we can say goodnight to our audience. Is there anything we want to tell them next month?
Sweet.
They know when to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So fourth Tuesday night of every single month, same time, same place, same Gratitude Girls channel. So 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. Good night,
Excellent.
everyone.
Good night.
See you next month.